friends, Miss Dimitran here. This week in math, we're going to be working on lesson 28, which is make teen numbers. And I know the video looks a little bit different this week than it's looked in the past, but that's because I'm going to be doing an activity with Apple Jacks, and I need to have a flat surface to count on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of different strategies to represent teen numbers. So let's look at this top, the two 10 frames here. I see I have one 10 frame which is completely filled in. When I have a 10 frame that's completely filled in, I know this represents 10. And if I counted them, I'd see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But I have two 10 frames here. I have some extras over here. So I'm going to put this 10 in my head and I'm going to count on 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that's like what you were working on last week. So I'm going to write 18 here. Now another way that I can represent 18 is by using a number bond. So I'm going to put the 18 up top and I'm going to break that 18 up. And I have it broken up here. I can see that I have 10 is one part of my number bond. And then I have some extras. And I can see that I have 8 extras here. So that's how I'd represent a teen number using a number bond. And using the same number 18, I'm going to look at another example using some snap cubes. So if I look at my first row, I have a filled in snap cube, all snapped together with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 snap cubes, make one row. And then I have these extras I'm going to count on. So I know 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So how I could write that is my 10 blue plus my 8 red equal 18. Another way you could say this is that 10 and 8 make 18. So that's just an example of some different strategies that we can use to solve for teen numbers and represent them and make them. So now we're going to do an activity, and I'm going to use some Apple Jacks because they come in 2 different colors. Oh, Marion, you're eating my Apple Jacks. So I'm going to show some Apple Jacks here. And I'm going to, now because they have orange and green, I counted out 10 green to start, but you could use this with Cheerios or anything. So the first thing you're going to do when you're counting teen numbers is I want to fill in one of my 10 frames. So I'm going to do that with my green. I'm going to fill in my 10 frame. Now if you didn't have Apple Jacks and you were doing Cheerios, you would do the same thing. They just wouldn't be different colored. But you could also use pennies and nickels or pennies and dimes because those are 2 different colors. You could cut out paper. Marion, you ate one of my green. So I just filled in my first 10 frame, so I know this is 10. So now I'm going to put 10 in my brain and I'm going to keep counting. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And now if you look down here, I have 3 different ways that I can represent that number. So going back to those number bonds, I could say that 16 is broken up into 2 parts. So this is my whole and these are my 2 parts. So I know that one part is 10 and one part is 6. No, don't eat those yet. Here, you eat these. Eat these over here. So how I could write that is 10 plus 6 equals 16. Or I could say 10 and 6 is the same as 16. Let's try another one. Pull these off. My little assistant's not being that helpful right now. Okay, so I'm going to mix these back down. Here, want to eat these? So now I'm going to count again. So now I have a bunch of Apple Jacks on the thing, so I'm going to fill in my first 10 frame. So I'm going to go back, and I've already counted out 10 greens, so I know that those will fill this, but I'm going to count as I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my first 10 frame is completely filled. So I know that's 10. I'm going to put that in my brain, and I'm going to count on 11, 12, 13, 14. And now I'm going to represent that number below. So remember, we just counted 14. You can use these. No, thank you. That can be broken up into 10 and 4. This is my whole, and these are my two parts. 10 and 4 are my parts to make my whole of 14. And if I wanted to write it as an addition sentence, I would say my 10 plus my 4 equals my 14. And again, you could also say that as 10 and 4. All right, let's try one more together. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pull these back down. Grab some more of these oranges from my assistant here. Give Mommy back this. Okay, and now I'm going to count and fill in my 10 frames. So I'm going to start with my greens again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, you have a whole container right there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once that 10 frame is filled, I'm going to put the 10 in my brain. And now I'm going to just count on 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And now I'm going to fill in my paper below. So using my number bonds, I'm going to fill in my total, my whole up top. So I know that my whole is 18, which is made up of two parts, 10 and 8. And again, I could put that in a number sentence. So I could say 10 plus 8. Sorry, that's a 10. That's a 0 for 10. 10 plus 8 equals 18. Or I could write that 10 and 8 makes 18. All right, boys and girls, have fun making teen numbers this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Hi friends, Miss Demetrian here. This week we're going to be doing lesson 28, which is making teen numbers. So I'm going to do an example right now of a couple different strategies that you can use to visualize making teen numbers. And then I'm going to do an activity with you using some Apple Jacks. So I'm filming a little bit differently this week so that I can count on the ground and you can see what I'm counting, because if I'm holding the paper up, it's going to fall down. So bear with me here, but the first example that I want to go over is how to make a teen number with a couple different strategies. So if we look just at this first part up here, I have two 10 frames, and I can see that my first 10 frame is fully filled in. And I know when a 10 frame is fully filled in, there are 10 dots being represented, or the number 10 is being represented. So if I count my blue dots, I'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know this is a 10. I'm going to look over here and see how many extras I have. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know that this number right here If I count my 10 first, I'm going to count on 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Hi friends, Miss Dimitrian here. This week in math, we are going to be doing lesson 28, which is make teen numbers. I know the video looks a little bit different this week than it's been looking, but it's because I'm going to be doing an activity with you today where I'm going to be counting Apple Jacks. So I need to have a flat surface to do that on. So before we start with that activity, I'm going to do a little example for you to show you a couple different strategies that can represent teen numbers and help you count them. So if we look at the first one up top here, I see two 10 frames. My first 10 frame is completely filled in. And when I have